Okay, I guess I'm live. Uh-oh, Mike Whaley. Hi. It's probably pretty laggy because I'm watching. I'm going to go sign off there. So let me shut that down. Okay. But it's a really old laptop. Okay, howdy. I'm going to tape back because I don't know if my audio is coming through. How's the audio? Probably pretty pathetic. I think it's coming through this webcam, maybe, not the laptop. So USSR rover was asking me how far the laptop is from the router. It's about 20 feet, but this is an old HP Pentium Windows 7 upgraded to Windows 10 laptop, so it's pretty pathetic as far as horsepower goes. The mic's working. Anyway, what you're watching is the Zonestar printing. These are my modded parts. It's the E3D Cyclops hot end in there. I've modded it with Mark 8 extruder gears and my own extruder bodies. Right now we're feeding it with Protopasta Galactic Empire Purple and the leftover roll of Prusa Silver from my MK3 build. And actually this looks better if I probably put the camera over here. Oops. Oh, sorry. This is like impromptu kind of just throwing this together here. Get over there. All right. Now we'll put the camera over on this side. Oh, and of course now it's printing on that side, so you can't see what's going on. That's okay. There's a little more room on that side because the bed sensor is over on this side and covers up quite a bit of stuff. So, oh, there he is. Rover made it over. Yeah, I know. I know I can plug it in. I don't have a Cat 5 cable out here. Otherwise, I'd stretch it over. So I'm out in the garage on a folding table. And right over there, past the foam, over near the air compressor, that's my model railroad room in the corner. And I could stretch a Cat 5 cable over there and plug in, but this was just an idea. It's probably pretty janky, right? Oh, I do N-scale trains. That's I don't know. My YouTube has N-scale Tony. I'm thirsty now. Well, the first layer's down. We're on layer number 3. It's going pretty good. There's rover FP3D. I don't know that one. First time I've seen you. Welcome. Oops. So yeah, this interesting. The Zonestar is an interesting setup. it was missing the X in-stop mount when I got it. And if I go back here, the Z in-stop, see if you can see it right there. You see the red wire hanging out? The Z in-stop had a 3-wire connection, and the plug on the board for the Z in-stop had a 4-wire socket. So I don't know how that was supposed to work. And then underneath the bed here, down at the backside, you're not going to be able to see it from here. Back where the Y end stop is, it was hitting on the acrylic frame instead of any kind of stop. So I had to print one so that it would home in the right position. Otherwise, you would have had about 150 millimeter usable print area out of a 210 millimeter bed. Fernando, hello. Yeah, I just don't know about the horsepower on this laptop as far as running a stream on it. It's probably the fan's going to kick on here any second and it's going to overheat. But that's okay. You can see it printing. If I get, you got to go 5 millimeters before it starts mixing. So the first 5 millimeters is just going to be pure silver coming out of extruder 1. And then it will switch and start mixing purple in at 10%. So it reduces the feed on extruder 1 to 90% and then feeds 10% with extruder 0. And those are built-in virtual extruders. So you have 0 to 1, but 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you have 11 steps that you can mix the ratios in that are pre-built. So all you have to do is edit your G code and add a T command with the appropriate number to switch tools to get you a new color. I know the P802 is different than this one, but not that much different, I think. I don't remember if it's got a different board. Mine is using their, what do they call that board? Well, I'll show you the board. It's the more square controller board instead of the long skinny one. It's actually been a pretty nice board, other than me shorting out the drivers on it, stepper drivers, and having to rip some. Well, more than once. Mainly because the current was not adjusted right. Sorry about that. From the factory. Yeah, the Z-Rib board. So really, I just rebuilt my Zonestar last weekend. I watched Nery's had Chris, I think is his name. Anyway, he added these angle brackets to the base, which does stiffen it up quite a bit. I got a whole package of those, added 2 to the front, and that stiffened it up a bit. I tightened up all of the all of the rollers here where these screws where the rollers attach. Whoops. Right there. And here, down here, and on the other side. Tightened all those up on both ends. And then took the 2 screws from the backside. You can get at the 2 screws that hold the arm, and re-squared that whole thing up so that the x-axis was actually square to the frame. Because before, this end over here, far end, was 2 millimeters lower than the end that it's driven from. And so that allowed me to level this bed back out and get more adjustment to set the first layer. So that's worked out pretty well, and now it's printing pretty well. I had to up the temperature on the hot end because I was still getting jams. I was trying to print at 195 to eliminate the stringing problem, but it was causing jams in that Cyclops. So I'm printing right now at 200 degrees. And it worked well for the, let's see, what did I have last time? I had a roll of, I was using the Hatchbox yellow. It's, just Hatchbox Pantone yellow. And then, what is this stuff? This is a no name. No, it's what, well, there's the label. Whoops. Can't really see it. It's kind of like a no-name something or other that I got off Amazon, but it's a magenta. Not used to having the camera backwards to me. Anyway, that's almost gone. I'm down to the last little wrap on the roll. The blue color print? I don't know what you mean, the blue color print. I'm doing a dual, so this is not necessarily dual color. I did a, let me go grab a couple prints out of the room. I'll be right back. Okay. So I printed a fill, but as you can see, I was having some really, really horrendous stringing problems. So I hadn't quite tuned everything in, but yeah, that's the dual color. So I have a purge tower. This isn't it. I threw my purge towers away. I was cleaning up out here. These aren't for the. These were for the bowl that I printed. I print this spiral purge tower. It's like I think a 20 by 20 spiral. Gives you a nice consistent, and it's quick to print. But that's the purge tower for that chromatic vase that I printed the other day in the garbage. And then this is the mixing color fade from the yellow to the magenta. And it gives you an idea of some toothpasting is what they call it, because the yellow comes out on one side and the magenta comes out on the other side. So this face looks significantly more yellow than that face, even though they're printed at the same time. And then this was the Zonestar discolored pig. That was the G code that was on their SD card. The problem I was having with it was I could never get the extrusion rate right. And what it turned out to be was that adjusting the flow and everything else only affected one extruder on the printer. So it did absolutely nothing to the other one. So that's why, as this was printing, I kept upping the extrusion rate, trying to get it to fill in more. Well, it kept printing less and less and less white. So it didn't turn out very good. But now that I've got the extrusion rates all figured out and have fiddled around with the firmware, it's working much better. And if you notice, I've got Z-hop enabled, and it's pretty quick. I think that's triple the normal speed that they have the firmware set to for the Z. So Fernando, if you're doing one of these, maybe your P802 can be upgraded that way too. All right, Walter, thanks for jumping on. Look, your Oinda probe, your Pinda probe. Yeah. So let's see, we're at 1.5 millimeters. Get a few more layers, and it is a little bit. Oh, it's a little bit stringy. I don't know what to do about the strings. I've tried slowing the extrusion retraction speed down so that it gives more time for wiping during retraction. And that has helped a bunch, but it is still, this hot end is still just a stringy thing. And I'm up to 4.6 or 4.8 millimeters of retraction. And I upped it to 5.6, but I got a jam, and so I kind of backed that down. But it's not too bad. I mean, it's a little stringy, but it's more stringy than I would like. I'm so spoiled by the Prusa, where prints just come out so good looking. I'm at 200 degrees. That's the temperature I'm printing. I was getting jamming even at 198. So with the last filament, with the thing about the Hatchbox yellow and the pink printed, was it pink that printed fine? Well, one of them printed fine at 198, but one of them would stop printing. It was the pink stopped printing. I had to up it to 200 to get the pink to print consistently. All right, Walter. Thanks for subbing, man. Uh-oh. Now I got a bunch of pop-ups from YouTube on my screen. Over the chat. Great. Get rid of those. Yeah, well, the wait time, so I got a buddy that lives up north. He just bought one, and basically they're sending out the assembled ones instead of the kits. He was told it would shorten his wait time by several weeks if he ordered it put together. Oh, thanks, FP3D. Yeah, I've been waiting. So let's see. I ordered, because I have a Prusa Mark II. I ordered the S, the smooth rod upgrade, in January, and I ordered the 2.5 upgrade for the Mark II at the same time, and that hasn't shipped yet. And then I've got a pre-order in for the MMU for the 2.5. So figured I'd start with it, getting the upgrade, all the upgraded parts, and that'll give me the magnetic heat, the bed on the MK2 or 2.5. It'll be awesome. Yeah, well, Walter, morning coffee is a bit of a stretch for me because I'm a night owl. I work swing shift, so I usually wake up at about 10 o'clock Pacific. But thanks for the offer, man. Yeah, I think the kits are, but I have a feeling that the problem is that their supply line is probably still having trouble keeping up with how many printers they're shipping out, and kits, the margin on the kits is probably less than the margin on fully assembled ones, so they get preferential treatment. And in a fair world, it would be by order date, not by what the product was. Ooh, you're building the hypercube. Yes, I will. I will be there watching that. Cool. And after watching Tom's Bay Area Maker Faire, I want to get one of those Maslows. Just got to figure out where I'm going to get the money from. The things that will allow me to cut a full sheet of plywood. Because, you know, I still have some room in my garage here. It's not quite full. There's well, there's a spot. I could put it right back there. Yeah, that would work. I need it like I need a hole in my head, but that's okay. So we're doing two little the little cute dragons at a time. But yeah, now I forgot your name. Francisca. I have done dual color. It works great. Yeah, I could put it on the roof. The dual color works great. Just got to use a purge block, and I found that the 20 by 20 spiral works well enough. Now, on the E3D, this is the E3D Cyclops, and it may have a smaller pool in the hot end of molten plastic to clear out. I don't know what the stock heater nozzle heat block holds, but I couldn't get my stock heat block to quit leaking, so I went with an E3D Cyclops on here and converted it over. Saves about 30 grams of weight on the thing. With these pieces are all printed in PETG as well. Yo, if I had it, I'd make room. It's $400, but I've got a mostly printed CNC over there on the other side of the motorcycle. If you want to look at it, can't get you very close though. Nope. Hang on, we're gonna be shaky for a little bit. So over on the other side, why won't you focus? Sheesh. Okay. Yeah. On the other side of the Yamaha, there's a mostly printed CNC on a Harbor Freight toolbox. So right now it's just got a laser head on it. And eventually, once I quit playing with crab pot parts, it will have a 2.5 kilowatt spindle with a variable frequency drive on it. So that'll be a lot of fun. Oh, and we got displayception going on here. And I didn't mean for you guys to steal you guys from James's stream. I just wanted to see if this would work out here. And apparently it does. What's the resolution that you guys are receiving it at? Probably not great. I don't know if this thing can run the analytics at the same time as it's streaming. It's probably bringing everything to a halt. Yeah, 480. That's not too bad. That's probably all the camera will do. This is a cheapy Logitech 520 something or other. Huh. Hearing a weird noise. Oh, that's what it is. No, I can see it. Okay. Are you chewing the filament up? No, it looks like it's going. Isn't it? Yeah. I was hearing some strange noises coming from the extruder up here. But it looks like everything's going okay. There is a little bit of powder up there, but I don't know if it's from that silver or not. It's moving back and forth fine. All right, cool. First layer down, good. That's always a good feeling. Well, thanks for stopping by. And we're at 2.3, so we've got another 6 or 8 layers to go. All right. What is it here? It's only, it's only 10 o'clock. The night is young. Fernando. Yeah, look at that camera. It focuses perfectly on the hot end. Yet when I pick it up and look at something far away, the thing is all out of focus. Yeah, love Logitech cameras. They're great. Well, this will be interesting to see how these two mix. I wonder if I'll have to increase temperature because of the protopasta in there. It should print at 200, I'm thinking. Normally I printed at 205. Have a little swoosh, and that's looking pretty good. Not too many strings. Nice, pretty even layers. Silver really shows up if there's any inconsistencies. And other than the power supply on this printer, I'm surprised that the drivers are as quiet as they are. After dealing with the Prusa MK2, this is a really quiet printer, and maybe it's just because it's rollers on the V extrusion instead of bearings on rods, and maybe that's what makes it so noisy. But yeah, when it's working right, it's a pretty decent little printer. I just wish they would have shipped all the parts with it and put stuff on the right way at the factory instead of making me do it. All right, Walter. Thanks for stopping by. Take care, buddy. Well, let's see who's left in here. Participants. That's it. Just the two. So you two are gone. I'll wait until the first little bit of color comes through and maybe show you the second extruder starting to work. We're about halfway there right now. And I'll probably end the stream. I could leave it going. These things, what do they take? About 6 hours to print. Oh, Rover's still here. He didn't show up in the participants. When I clicked participants just now, it only showed Country 3D and FP 3D. Well, I'm glad you're still here. Yeah, okay. Maybe you had typed before. Oh, an Apocalypse Survivor. Cool. Did Ashley head off? Because these are her dragons, by the way. They're silver and purple for her. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't stream enough to know. And usually when I'm streaming, I'm not watching the chat. The Z-Hop makes you nervous. Why does it make you nervous? I use Z-Hop on everything. A print without Z-Hop makes me nervous. You get something really tall and you don't have Z-Hop, and it goes rapiding across the top of the print and breaks something loose, especially if you're building with supports. I like Z-Hop. I only got it set to 1 millimeter just in case I want to hook Octoprint up. If you use Octoprint won't let you use less than 1 millimeter if you want to trigger time lapses. If you know, ignore Z-Hop with your time lapses. So it is more than I normally use. Usually I use like a 0.6 or 0.4 Z-Hop. Yeah, it's just, especially on something that doesn't have, if you don't have good cooling, and or you're printing something where the layers, you know, you have big overhangs and they tend to curl up a little bit as they're cooling. A little bit of Z-Hop will sometimes save your print. You don't need it on everything. It does slow your prints down, but I'm all about reliability. I'd rather have the print take an extra hour and finish successfully than try and rush it and come into a big wad of molten plastic stuck to my hot end. I've had that happen a time or two. That's how the MK2 got a new hot end, and that's how my Cetus got a melted fan duct. So how many printers have you got a printer yet, Rover? I know you keep entering contests to win one. I think Angus has a Hooney H6 that looks like it's perfect for you. That H6. Woo! Not yet, huh? Are you handy electrically and mechanically? You could build your own. Pretty dang cheap, you know. I mean, it can't be any worse than a cheap Chinese kit building your own from scratch. If you're looking for something to build on your own, go to Vicious One, the guy who does the mostly printed CNC. He has plans on there for a milled printed 3DP, MP 3DP. So it's the milled printed 3D printer. Oh, cool. Well, FlashForge is a nice machine. Anyway, his milled printed 3DP is basically an i3 clone, but you get the 3D print the corner pieces, and then you can use like plywood or acrylic or aluminum or whatever you want to build the frame out of. And it uses the same kind of Prusa rails with bearings and lead screws and everything else like that. Oh, 54 referrals. Well, I already entered, or I could enter you again. Hey, this little dragon's going to look good with silver toes. Check, make sure it's not chowdering my filament up here. No, looks much better. It is moving it back and forth quite a ways, but only one person per channel. Okay. So did you build your own Apocalypse? Is it a i3 style or a Delta or something different? I still like the looks of a Hypercube, but it is a bit more money. There's a lot more pieces for the frame to build one of those, but they look like really nice machines. I saw your printed extrusion MK2. I watched the Murph stuff. That's an awesome machine. Now, so Walter, are the printed extrusions, are you using wheels on them, or are you still just using the extrusions like they're used on the Mark III, just as frame elements and not as the rails in the system? Oh, Mark 42 bit, yeah. Those things are hard to come by too. Oh, okay. So you're using the extrusions are just the frame pieces, and then you got smooth rods and bearings, just like a regular i3. Do you think the 3D printed extrusions are good enough to run wheels, open builds wheels on? Yeah. So what do you think about a Due board? Is that overkill for? I know that M3D is putting together their crane quad or crane fusion or whatever the heck it is, and it's going to have the Due their budget Due board, 32-bit board. Ah, okay. Okay. So the extrusions were printed on an A8 and glued together. But if you had some alignment pegs and stuff built into them, they probably would work then. Oh, sweet. Now the Due board looks really, really cool. And I like the fact that it's 32-bit, so you can actually have something like an Octoprint interface. The other one that was interesting to me was that the one that Tom showed on his video, where it was a combination, like a beagle bone with a pie hat on it. okay, so that's cool. So you have a printer big enough to do that. Well, that's what I was looking at James's printer that he's doing, and he's doing the whole frame as one piece, but you got to have a CR10 size printer to print out an i3 on. Oh, that's nice. Okay. See, and I bought the extrusions, and my idea was to use the mill printed 3DP as a base and use the uprights. And I've got some 500 millimeter lead screws and some extrusions that are long enough. And so I was going to make the verticals like this on the Zonestar, and just use smooth rods for the Y. And then I saw the Zonestar's X, and I thought, oh, that's pretty nice. You know, it's not terribly heavy, and it seems fairly stiff. Although it does flex. If you get a bump on the bed, there is enough flex where this whole hot end and everything will kind of rock up. But the other thing is that there's no tension adjustment for these wheels on this. They didn't use any of the eccentrics to mount anything. So as the parts wear, you're going to have a hard time keeping this thing tuned up. A little monster, okay. And it works pretty well, or do you have to do a bunch of mods to get the monster to work for you? I mean, I thought about making a big Delta, but man, they're cool to watch print and everything. But the build volume is, you know, for the amount of materials you put into it, you lose about half the Z height. And I just don't, the watching it print cool factor is not high enough for me to build one yet. You kicked your ass for 2 weeks, then it reseated every connection. Now it prints great. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, a couple of the connections on the Zonestar were mislabeled. They had fan 1 and fan 2, and they were labeled on the wiring loom, but they're the wrong way around. So they had the print fan coming on and running as soon as the hot end got hot, and then the other fan would turn on. It was stupid. A Chinese smoothie board. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and smoothie's a little bit different than. It's cool though. I mean, because you can configure everything through a file at boot time, basically, or whatever. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to recompile it and upload it via bootloader. No, you got it just to print the extrusions for your other printer? Cool. Hmm. So your hypercube is going to be core XY, correct? Like a normal hypercube. Yeah, okay. That's pretty cool. So you So, and have you got any dual extrusion machines? Like I said, right now, this is my only dual extrusion. But I've got the order in for the MMU version 2, which I am excited as all get out to see that thing when it shows up and see how it works. But last word, I talked to tech support last week, and they said it's going to be next month, June, probably by the end of June before they start shipping those things. Yeah, yeah, you and me and everybody else waiting for the MMU version 2. Have you talked with Shane? Is that what he said too? Middle of June. Hey, if it works, I mean, it's got to work 100% better than their V1 MMU. Oh, nice. A Haribo kit. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, and do you find that the Haribo upgrade was really worth it? I mean, my MK2 is pretty dang rigid, and once it's adjusted and everything's tight, I don't see any need to go back and readjust things. I know for some people it's all about the bling, though. All right, we're at 3.5 millimeters. These are just 0.2 layer heights, so similar to the Mosaic, yeah. But there's no, it's not trying to weld the filaments together to make a continuous filament. So a lot simpler than the Mosaic. Oh, really? And then no, there was, oh, yeah. So I started out with an M3D Micro, and Aaron York, well, Aaron York and what was the other kid's name? Anyway, the M3D Micro group led me into the Prusa group, which then led me to the Haribo Prusa group. Cool. Nice. Well, that's nice. Yeah, I just downloaded the thing files for the CB10. So I'm thinking about, because I have an extra Sane Smart ramps board, Arduino ramps. And I have the extrusions, I have the wheels, I have an extra extruder, I have a hot end, I have belts, pulleys, I have a heat bed, kinda. But what I was thinking is when I upgrade the MK2 to the 2.5, I will have an extra heat bed, which is a great heat bed. It just doesn't have the removable part. And I'll put that on a really tall print, unless I can figure out a good deal on a, I could start with that and then put a 300 by 300 on there. My only real problem with the CR10 is that it uses still 12-volt electrics. It would be really nice if it was 24-volt. Or I know you can put a 110 silicone heat bed on it and get all the heat you could possibly want. Are we under extruding, or is that just stringing? No, it's moving. It's moving through there. So I already did a purge on this when I first fired it up. I set it to tool 7, which is equal amounts out of both extruders, and extruded a bit of plastic out there to purge out the yellow and pink that I had in there. And it seemed to work okay, but we'll see. Sometimes with all the retractions, it can jam up in there. Yeah, it's looking all right. It's looking okay. Looking a little funky at the top there, but might be under extruding a little bit. Let me just turn that up just to be safe. Do a little 203 on there. See if that makes a difference. So the one thing about these mixing hot ends that I find is if you print a lot with one filament and you're not switching back and forth all the time between the two filaments, when you start printing with the other one, it's like it's not really a partial clog, but it's like it's a little stuck in there. Oh, I'm seeing some purple. I am seeing some purple come out of there. Purple extruder. You can barely see it. Let me get you up here. So try and hold still for you. You can see it barely moving back and forth. Yeah, I can alternate back and forth on single nozzle prints. That's how the mixing happens. So I posted on my Twitter a back and forth blend. So like, so this blend tower starts with all out of one and steps up till it's the pure color of the other one. But you can vary it each layer if you want to. And I'm just using the pre-built extruders, the virtual extruders, so it gives me 11 steps. But there are M codes, it's like an M163. You can set each individual extruder, tool 0 and tool 1, set the percentage, so you get 101 steps if you wanted to take the time to edit the G code. I haven't found a slicer that can handle the mixing extruders and actually do smooth color changes in the slicing. Oh, so you don't use one more than the other. Um, you can do a 10%, 90% mix. But no, if I want this to be pure silver, I have to print with just the one side, just the one extruder. And then the other filament, it's not much of it, but it's sitting in there kind of cooking for a while. So you wouldn't want to do I mean, it's fine for an hour or so, and hopefully you're going to use a blended extruder. Or what I've done is, like when I printed this guy, I know that there's uh, uh, multiple layers of that where it's going to be a lot of one single extruder, and then I just used a purge tower and printed one tower of solid yellow and one tower of solid blue, and that kept it cleaned out so that it would do a good job of color separating. But you wasted a little bit of plastic, but that's kind of the price you pay for this sort of thing. The other thing is, which way are we going there? Yeah, I could just use the other nozzle. Um, the other thing is that um, uh, dam of purple that was. This was a test to see if I could do. I'll make up a Cat 5 cable for the next one. Thanks for joining. Later.